All right, update time. Everybody's been asking for an update. I've actually had thousands of them asking for what's going on with the big girl. Well, truth be known, obviously, I'm not in my own workshop. I'm actually down here at Ericsson Automotive Repairs in Lilydale with Sean and Jason, who run the show here. And they're doing some of the work, particularly on the front end. And I got a phone call this morning. They asked me to come down because of thought I might want to add to the list of things that actually went wrong on the last trip, and they weren't wrong. Obviously, you'll notice the canopy's gone. She's been taken off, and indeed been shipped off to MFI, who actually built the unit originally back about 8 years ago. And got a phone call from them last week, and oh yeah, she's bent. She's bent big time, but quite fixable. So they're going to cut the whole floor out, put a whole new subframe back in the canopy and everything like that. Maybe get a bit of a clean up on it. We'll see how we go. But boy, have I got some stories to tell you. Obviously, the front guard's gone. I'm more impressed with the fact that they actually managed to get the guard off without pulling the bull bar off. Now, I've got no idea how they did it, but there are a bunch of Houdinis getting that off. And we've got the people down at, Sean, who was it over in Ringwood again?
Eastland Body Repairs.
Eastland Body Repairs. The people that are in charge of trying to help me with all the windscreen, the guard and a few other bits and pieces. They pulled the canopy off and we've sent it out, obviously. We actually did have it on the rack, and we just wanted to make sure that everything was right with the chassis and all that. And yeah, she's all square. Everything's looking really, really good, so we're happy with all that. Front end, not so much. Obviously, one of the first things I noticed, I said before, that all my steering, which is I think what they call the front and the rear drag links, were actually all bent. Now I've got one here, which is almost near on impossible to show you. Now this, okay, see down there, you see the bend in it? That's nothing. That was actually bent like a bow and arrow, and we actually had a big winch strap around the front of it. We had to straighten that straight after I'd actually hit that big washout and actually pull it all straight. Now, even though that's bent, and the front one was bent, it actually still drove me all the way back from the Kimberley, all the way back down to Melbourne. So what are we doing? Obviously, just because of what happened and the damage that was done, as a matter of precaution, and because this has a GVM upgrade, we're replacing all the front springs with the same as what was in it before. The front shocks had to be replaced with the same as what was in it before. We're putting new hubs on it, and what are we doing? We're also going to change the front arms. Not that we can see that there's anything wrong with them. Now, these are actually J-Max arms that are as strong as blazers, but just as a matter of precaution, because it was a really, really big hit. Now, as we go around, one of the things that was shown to me was a couple out of this. See this bearing? Look how bad that bearing is. Now, you would think that is nothing but pure neglect. Fact is, that was actually replaced before the Kimberley trip. That doesn't normally happen to most people. The difference with us is that while we're filming, often we'll end up in rivers for a long time. Either, as you saw, we got stuck, or during filming, we slow down. They're trying to move cameras and bits and pieces like that. What happens then, the diff assembly actually cools right down. When it cools right down, you can't help it. It'll just suck water in past those seals, no matter how good they are. It's always done it. I'm only up to about, 180,000 Ks on this car, and that'd be about bearing set number 6. And it's not that they're a bearing set, it's just the fact is that we spend way too much time parked in water, which for too long, which allows the diff to cool right down, just becomes a vacuum, just sucks it all into all the hubs and bits and pieces of bearings like that. As we go. I was walking around this before, and I've got dents here, now that the canopy's off, that I didn't even know were there in the first place. You know, it's good to see the old girl, but geez, I haven't seen something like that for a while with all this. The old number plates, look, it's got a crack in it so fine that number plate is barely hanging on. I reckon what I'll do this time, I'll take these 2 number plates off, I'll replace them. Yeah, I might even be a bit cheeky. Might even give these 2 number plates away as a bit of a thank you to a couple of people, a couple of fans. You know? And We've still got the windscreen to go. We've still got some repairs. When they do the guard, they've obviously got to take the stickers off down the sides and everything like that. Now, that's about it until we move on to the next stage. The guys here at Ericsson, they'll turn around, they'll fix all this. We're actually going to ask them to check out the front diff diff centre. We're going to ask them to pull it out and have a look, because I had a problem on the last trip with my actually diff centre, or my diff lock was jammed on all the time. So I actually had to drive that entire trip basically in two-wheel drive, which put an incredible strain on the rear end, and she coped it really well. And so we're going to see if we can find out why that front diff lock is actually jammed on solid. So I actually had to turn the hubs off, drive it all the way through, and you'll see them in a few places where it got really, really tough. I had to quickly get out, lock the hubs in, and then I'd try and get through. So it wasn't as if I was without without diff locks. It was just that I had them on too good, had them on all the time. So now, having a bit of second sorts of things. And you guys might be able to help me out, because one of the most important things, obviously, I do this as part of marketing and development for Wholesale Automatics, right? She's 9 years old. She's had a great life, been around Australia 2 or 3 times, maintained like you wouldn't believe. By the time we finish, every bearing, every brake, everything in this is going to be all the way back down to where it is. And we're even changing all the axles, all the CVs are all getting changed. The old ones are all in there with all the old bits and pieces, the springs and whatnot. But I think I mentioned to you last time that we got a new transmission development coming up. As part of that, we're going to put it in this car. Because of the damage and everything like that, let's put that back. Then when I started to sit down and think about it, is it time to move on? Is it time to retire the old girl and build a new one? If I did, what would it be? Obviously, without a doubt, I'm a Toyota man. I love my 79 series. It would be another 79 series. The reason why we say that is that with the development and bits and pieces that we want to do, this is not even a DPF model. This is an old 2013 model. When I say old, I mean, look at Milo. We're a lot older than that. Now, maybe it's time for us to turn around, get a brand new car. It's a DPF. It allows us to turn around and get all the modern development done with all the new transmission components that we're putting in, everything we're going to do. Do it differently. Maybe a 2-door, same colour, a lighter canopy, maybe even some portals, some springs. Maybe build a little bit of animal into her and make her do some of the really hard stuff. I mean, she's good at some of the hard stuff, but sometimes she can be an absolute handful as well, right? So give us your opinion on that. Leave us a comment. What do you think? Not as if I'm abandoning the old girl. She's going to be repaired. We'll go through and we'll do more vlogs on actually fixing her all up and getting her all up and running again. But do I take her on any more trips? All right. And if I'm going to build a new car, then obviously I might as well run that. And this old girl, I think it might be time. I don't know. But I've actually been struggling with that thought for the last month now. Actually, since last time I did the last vlog for you. And that's actually, it's actually bothered me quite a lot, because, you know, I like to do what's right for the company, but I also like to do what's right for all the fans. You're out there. We do this for you. Lord, we rely on you guys. You make us who and what we are today, you know, as customers and also just as the fans. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we appreciate it greatly. Without you guys, we're nothing. So leave some comments. Tell me. Also, I know I look like hell. We've been in COVID down here. We just got out of lockdown again, which allows me to be able to come here and actually have a look at the girl. And all in all, I think it's time for me to go and get a haircut, not be so bloody scruffy and everything like that. And we'll see how we go. Get this girl back together. And yeah. So until next time, catch up, like, subscribe, get the bell on, if you remember, do that. And we'll catch up again soon.